What if the missing piece of your fertility journey isn't more stimulation or supplements, but a hormone that is often overlooked? In this episode, we're digging into progesterone through a functional lens, especially how it impacts women with low AMH, high FSH, diminished ovarian reserve, poor egg quality, or recurrent pregnancy loss. We're going to explore why progesterone matters more than you think, how to identify if you have a deficiency, and what you can do about it. Let's go. Welcome back. I'm Sarah Clark, founder of FabFertile. For over a decade, my team and I have helped hundreds of couples improve their chances of pregnancy success, whether naturally or through IVF. We specialize in supporting those with low AMH, high FSH, diminished ovarian reserve, premature ovarian insufficiency, and recurrent pregnancy loss through functional testing and personalized fertility strategies. Today, we're digging into progesterone and why this matters when you are trying to conceive. This episode is for you if you have low AMH or high FSH and you want to understand how progesterone fits into the picture. You're navigating recurrent pregnancy loss and you're wondering if low progesterone could be a contributing factor. You have been told you have poor egg quality and are looking for a more personalized, a functional approach to support your hormones. Thanks so much for listening. I'm so thankful that you're here. Make sure you hit subscribe or follow. And if you know someone else who's on the fertility journey, please share this podcast with them. Okay, so let's get into it. So progesterone matters because I think a lot of us know this. It helps to prepare the uterine lining, which is going to support implantation. It reduces uterine contractions to prevent an early pregnancy loss or miscarriage. It can thicken cervical mucus, making it less hospitable to pathogens. And so it can calm the immune system, helping your body accept the embryo, balancing estrogen, preventing excess stimulation of the uterine lining, and it improves mood and sleep by acting on the GABA receptors in the brain. And so some signs of low progesterone here are cycle and fertility struggles. So spotting before your period, a short luteal phase, painful or heavy periods, irregular cycles, early pregnancy loss, miscarriage, or trouble staying pregnant. A lot of this we don't really realize too with mood swings. So emotional ups and downs, mood swings, anxiety, depression. A lot of times if we have mood issues, we're put on an antidepressant and maybe we just need to work on things to boost up our progesterone. Water retention, night sweats, hot flashes, migraines, especially in the second half of the cycle. We specialize with low AMH, high FSH, diminished ovarian reserve, premature ovarian insufficiency, pregnancy loss, and maybe you're dealing with these night sweats or hot flashes, the mood swings, and so we can bring in some bioidentical hormones. Sometimes we just bring in some progesterone cream, and that can really help, and then you can start making those diet and lifestyle changes. Because if you are not feeling good and we're like, we want you to go gluten-free and we want you to focus in on your sleep and reduce your stress, and maybe you're just feeling so burnt out, your mood's all over the place and your husband breathes beside you and you want to claw his eyeballs out, we need to help with the hormones first, and then we start to reduce those, and then that can help with your fertility. Sometimes we just do hormones. We do a synthetic HRT, which we don't want to do that. Definitely want to get the bioidenticals. If your doctor's, what's that? Get a different doctor. But as part of our team, we have a medical case reviewer. Sometimes he licensed in your state, but we have a network of practitioners. And so we want to look if there's sleep and energy issues. If you're waking up between 2 to 4, feeling tired, no matter how much sleep you get, that fatigue or fuzzy brain, is this progesterone? Physical changes such as fibroids, acne, PCOS, hair loss, dry skin, brittle nails. So what can cause this low progesterone? So chronic stress, the elephant in the room. I've done so many podcast episodes about stress and how this impacts our hormones. That can then steal resources from progesterone to make cortisol. Inflammation, so that's going to interfere with hormone signaling. Gut issues, we see gut issues across the board. So we do that stool test, the GI map test. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. We caution just doing one GI map test and think this is the solution. No, this is a multi-factorial approach to looking at the testing as well as the mindsets of resetting the nervous system and doing this in a very targeted manner, because you could just do one test and say, oh, it didn't work. We didn't do everything. We missed all the crucial steps. And I've seen many practitioners, you do a stool test and they don't even get a protocol off of it. So there should be a targeted protocol to optimize hormones, to eradicate infections, to address that fungal issues, to eradicate a parasite. We need to work with our doctor perhaps on that if it's very high, but most of the time we can do a low and slow approach using supplements. So if you've got a leaky gut, which you can have from antibiotic use, high stress, being on birth control, that can predispose you to being intolerant to your favorite foods. We see a lot of people where They do a food sensitivity test, and I'm like, are you eating any of the foods that you're intolerant to? Yeah, I eat all those things on a regular basis: salmon, avocados, blueberries, all these fertility superfoods. We see people aren't being intolerant to them because you're having so many of them thinking you're helping your fertility, but you had a leaky gut, and then your body starts identifying an immune response to those favorite foods. So we need to work on the gut, and then we can bring most of those foods back in, except if it's very high on a food sensitivity test. Liver overloads, impaired detox pathways, leads to estrogen dominance and ovulatory cycle. So no ovulation, it can be no progesterone. Hypothyroidism, we see this across the board. Our thesis, is it early menopause, or is it your adrenals that impact your thyroid? Impacts the AMH, the FSH, and the follicle count. So the thyroid can slow down your metabolism and hormone production. Sometimes you do need to have thyroid medication. We're not opposed to that, but medication alone, if you're gone to your REI and they say, hey, just take some Synthroid to get down that TSH, it's above 2, we want to make sure it's below 2. We need to look at the full panel. We need to see why the thyroid is off to begin with. And maybe it's because of low progesterone, because of all the stress and the food sensitivities and the gut infections. Not getting enough fat. I think a lot of us know this, where years ago it was just this low fat diets and eating food that they loaded it full of cardboard because it had no fat because it tastes like garbage. Then we just went into a whole diabetes situation. But fat is the key building blocks for hormones. I was out the other day and I saw, it was so cute. I saw it was some parents, they have a little baby, probably, I don't know how old she was, maybe 6 or 7 months, and they whip out of their bag an avocado, slice it in half. Kid's crying, feed me, and mushes it up and eats this avocado, and she's so happy. So back when I was doing this, I had no clue with my kids. I was pulling out a jar, pre-made garbage. So anyways, now we know better, we do better. But interesting now, I think things are changing. A lot of people that talk to me, they're like, I'm eating organic, kicked out the plastics and the pesticides. So eating healthy fats are key. And then as you enter perimenopause, there's a natural decline of progesterone before estrogen drops. And so even if you are in that perimenopause phase, we've helped people regain their periods in their 40s without having a period for years. And so maybe at a certain point, it is menopause. We're not here to make any false promises, but we need to look at your body and see what's off there. And the next one is over-exercising. So I cannot tell you the number of people we see that are running, that are joggers, that are just maybe doing too high intense exercise, or under eating, or like exercising, we're not even getting enough fuel. So that can suppress ovulation. Toxins from all the plastics, our personal care, our cleaning products. Now that I have a non-toxic life, is it perfect? No, but if I'm around cleaning products that are toxic, it stinks. I can't even be around it. So you want to minimize your risk, switching out your personal care, your cleaning products, and all the plastics you're exposed to. And medications, maybe you've been on hormonal birth control, that can predispose you to food sensitivities and gut infections that can impact your progesterone as well. So the birth control, antidepressants, so many people on antidepressants where my mood's off. Maybe it was your progesterone. If you had some progesterone cream, that would have helped it. Corticosteroids. So we have to be careful about the medications and the side effects. Informed consent, understand what it is, and then sometimes we take one thing and then it's all these side effects and we chase it with other medications. We wonder what it is, and actually if we had addressed the stress and the food sensitivities and reduced inflammation, we wouldn't need all this stuff. Sometimes we do need medication, and we're not here to take anyone off medication. You need to work with your doctor to taper off these things, but it's a clue when you dig deeper. So testing, we want to test the progesterone, either using serum, so blood, or we also do a Dutch test. Again, caution, just doing one Dutch test, so the dried urine test, looking at your hormones over the course of 24 hours, can really see where your progesterone levels fall. In the luteal phase, we like the blood progesterone between 15 to 33 ng per ml for fertility. I've done a whole Dutch test 101, so I'll link that in there about really why this test is important. It can really look at your adrenals, look at your melatonin, look at all your hormone levels, your cortisol, and we can really reflect how much progesterone your body actually used, and then looking at a broader picture of progesterone activities. I can also look to see how progesterone compares to estrogen. Even though we work with the low AMH and high FSH, a lot of times the estrogen and progesterone can be low, but sometimes the ratio of estrogen to progesterone, maybe you have estrogen dominance, and even though it is low in correlation there. So if there's estrogen dominance or progesterone deficiency, that sometimes the blood levels could appear normal. So the Dutch test can really help us with the insights. Definitely refer to that Dutch test 101. It is one of our tests that we recommend. We don't necessarily start with it, but it is one of the ones that we recommend to dig deeper into your hormones so then we can further customize a plan for you. How to support progesterone naturally. We are going to reduce stress. We want to reset your nervous system, do some breath work, some vagus nerve exercises such as singing or gargling that can really help. Your blood sugar. So we have people do continuous blood sugar monitors so then you can actually see with the stress how that's impacting your blood sugar. Like we want to have a nice rolling cascade of your blood sugar. If you're spiking up and then lowering down, you're wondering why your sleep is off, wondering why you feel like you're going to pass out, you're nauseous because you're hungry or your heart's racing, things like that. That stable glucose equals stable hormones. Looking at your circadian rhythm. So consider an Oura ring or something to track your sleep, such as wearable devices to track your sleep. You want to aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep. If you're waking up in the middle of the night, is it blood sugar? Is it your liver? Is it magnesium deficiency? Is it your cortisol spiking? The whole podcast episode all on sleep and some reasons behind it for you to dig deeper, not just about taking sleep aids and pounding down more melatonin and wondering why things are off. And then avoiding the overtraining, the HIIT, the high intensity interval training, that can suppress ovulation. In some women, it's not about you not doing any exercise. We want to move the body, but we don't want to be overdoing it. And even if that's how you've coped with stress, we want you to have an open mind so you can dig deeper on this and see if that is impacting your fertility. For nutrition piece, we want you to focus on whole foods. We want you to do naturally gluten-free. A lot of antioxidants, nutrient-dense foods. Add in some B6 rich foods such as turkey or spinach or pistachios. Looking at the healthy fats. So I'm still in Italy recording this. So avocados, olive oil. Oh yes, it's delicious. Pasture raised eggs, supporting liver detox, lemon water. I'm not sure if I shared this already, but I went to a market here and the guy, he told, is only speaking Italian, and then I'm pointing to the lemon and he's Ferrari of lemons. And you smell this lemon and you can smell the lemon right through the rind. This thing was just beautiful. Yeah, getting some good quality produce is key. So lemon water can support liver detox. Cruciferous veggies, milk thistle tea can be really helpful too. Consider some supplements. I see a lot of people taking a boatload of supplements, right? So it's not, you could just have expensive pee. We want to definitely have some foundational supplements, and then we do the testing, looking at your blood chemistry, and we can then have more of a target approach. You want to do an omega. This is for both you and your partner. It can reduce inflammation. We want to do a magnesium glycinate, can calm the nervous system, reduce PMS symptoms. Vitamin C can help with your adrenal glands. And then the B complex, especially helpful for those on hormonal birth control previously. So essentially we see a lot of people that have the MTHFR gene variant. I've done a podcast episode on that. Maybe you're not methylating your B vitamins properly. We see people sometimes that have high B12, but that can mean that it's actually low, or maybe it is low. And so we need to supplement and you're not absorbing it properly. So we do see the methylation pathways needing support. Make sure you do a methylfolate. Consider some adaptogens. This should be more on a targeted approach here, looking at chasteberry or vitex, and it can help with the luteal phase. Consider maca, that can nourish the HPA axis and boost your resilience to stress. Consider either ashwagandha or rhodiola. Again, this is very personalized. There is some studies coming out about rhodiola and diminished ovarian reserve, how that can help with adrenal function, reduce cortisol. Again, we need to look to see if that's right for you. And licorice root can be helpful. Again, we need to look at this on a personalized approach. It can help with cortisol and balance hormones. Like we said in the beginning, you may consider doing a bioidentical progesterone. It comes in a cream, a capsule, or a lozenge. To start with, I'll link it down here. It's called Ona's Naturals. And then you can, a cream, it's got to be monitored and timed properly to avoid suppressing ovulation. And it's not a standalone. You've got to make the targeted diet and lifestyle changes. It's not just about whipping on a cream and thinking this is going to be the fix to everything that's going on. I think a lot of us know if you've experienced pregnancy loss, this can be helpful for a recurrent miscarriage, or if your progesterone is very low, you got to work with a practitioner, but we can start with some progesterone cream. It can be really helpful. So if you got irregular cycles, PMS, anxiety, anyone on the fertility journey, progesterone can be part of that puzzle of something that's being missed, and adding in the testing, digging into the lifestyle factors and looking at the diet piece, that can really help doing a personalized approach for this, right? So some of the stuff I just talked about, you can start adding in, but we need to be mindful of just DIYing. DIY will only get you so far. So if you wanted to book a call, we can come up with a plan for you to help improve the chances of pregnancy success. All you do is go to hello@fabfertile.ca, put subject line fertile, and we can give you some options to help. Take care.